They sent a distress call. What answered shattered the galaxy. HFY Sci-Fi story. The sky above Epsilon Eridani 4 burned bright orange and red. What had started as a peaceful morning in the Novan colony had turned into chaos in minutes. Massive warships appeared without warning, blotting out the twin suns. Their shapes were dark, menacing, and perfectly designed for destruction. Lara Carson ran through the corridors of the colony's command center, her heart pounding. The emergency sirens screamed in her ears. As the colony administrator, she had drilled for attacks countless times, but nothing could prepare her for actual Morale warships appearing overhead. "Status report," she shouted, entering the main control room. Screens around her showed outer settlements in flames. Smoke and fire crawled across the planet like a living creature. 6 destroyers and 12 support vessels, ma'am. Ground. Assault has started in sectors 3 and 4, reported Keith Brown, her security chief. His blue skin had paled with fear, and his Novan speckles were almost white. "They've taken out our orbital defenses already." "Communications?" Lara asked, trying to steady her voice. "Planetary comms are still online, but they've blocked all outgoing signals," said Maria Das, the communications specialist, her fingers moving fast over her console. "We can't reach the Galactic Concord." Lara turned to the tactical display. The nearest Concord military base was 4 days away at maximum speed. Even if a message got through, help would arrive too late. The colony had no hope unless something extraordinary happened. "The quantum beacon," Lara said quietly. The room went silent. Keith swallowed. "Ma'am, if we activate it, we'll be their first target," Lara finished for him. "I know. Begin evacuation of all non-essential personnel. Get them to underground shelters." Through the reinforced windows, Lara saw the fires spreading across the main settlement. Morale landing craft were descending, dropping troops and harvesting equipment. The Morale didn't just conquer. They erased populations and took every resource they could find. "They're changing position," reported Sam Wilson, the tactical officer, "preparing for systematic bombardment." Lara's hands clenched the console. 30,000 Novans had called this planet home. Now, extinction seemed certain. "Activate the quantum beacon," she ordered. Maria hesitated only a second before inputting the codes. A low hum filled the walls as the device charged. "Message parameters?" Maria asked. "Standard distress protocol. Include all available data on the Morale forces," Lara replied. Another explosion shook the building, dust falling from the ceiling. Keith suggested, "We should include that the signal passes through Sector 8197. "The humans?" Lara asked. "Yes. Even if they can't help, they'll receive it first," he said. Lara nodded. The humans were new to the Galactic Concord, admitted only 3 years ago. They had few colonies and primitive ships, but all members in range would be notified. The beacon reached full power. Its tone rose almost beyond hearing. "Ready," Maria said. Another explosion struck nearby, lights flickered. "Do it," Lara ordered. Maria pressed the final command. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a pulse of energy surged, lights went out completely, and emergency power kicked in. "Signal sent," Maria confirmed. The building shook again as a bombardment hit the east wing. Lara straightened her uniform. "Begin data purge. Evacuate remaining personnel." Outside, the tactical display showed Morale forces overwhelming the colony. But the distress signal was racing across the galaxy faster than normal physics allowed. It was their last hope. Thousands of light years away, the Galactic Concord High Council chamber was filled. Representatives of over 300 species sat around a glowing platform. Every data screen showed the attack on Epsilon Eridani 4. Panic and frustration filled the room. Admiral Tan gestured at the holographic display. "The Morale fleet consists of 18 capital ships and 30 support vessels. Our nearest rapid response fleet is 4 days away." Murmurs swept through the chamber. 4 days. By then, the colony would likely be destroyed. "Can we send a faster ship?" asked Representative Kalsa of the Tone Federation, her feathered crest bristling. Admiral Tan shook his head. Our scouts could arrive in 2 days, but they have no weapons capable of engaging the Morale. From the back, Representative Zaul, an elder Folian, spoke. The distress signal passes through Sector 8197, human space. Nervous laughter filled the room. Humans? The species could barely travel beyond their own moon. Your points are noted, Admiral Tan said, but the humans have minimal military presence. They are not a factor. Representative Julia Anderson, human delegate, quietly stood. My people would want to know. She moved to a private communication booth and connected to Earth Central Command. Authorization Anderson 7 Delta 9, a distress signal from Epsilon Eridani IV, Morale invasion, colony under attack, Concord fleet 4 days out. General Clark's stern face appeared. I understand. We will respond. Anderson's lips curved slightly in a quiet smile. The humans were coming, but no one yet knew how fast or how deadly they could be. Back on Epsilon Eridani IV, the colony shook as the first Morale bombardment hit. The signal had been sent, but survival seemed impossible. Lara watched the tactical display one last time before ordering her team to prepare for the end. The galaxy, for the first time, was about to see what happened when humans answered a distress call. Far across the galaxy, the Galactic Concord High Council chamber buzzed with tension. The massive circular hall, usually calm and ceremonial, was now filled with urgent energy. Hundreds of species representatives leaned forward in their seats, staring at the data streams showing Epsilon Eridani IV burning under the Morale assault. Admiral Tan stood at the center, his gray skin reflecting the red emergency lights that bathed the chamber. His forearms gestured at the holographic display, showing the positions of the Morale warships as they systematically bombarded the colony. The Morale fleet consists of 18 capital ships and at least 30 support vessels, he said, his voice calm but grim. Our nearest rapid response fleet is 4 days away. By the time they arrive, the colony will likely be gone. A ripple of murmurs passed through the chamber. 4 days. That was enough for the Morale to finish their work completely. Surely, we can send a faster vessel? Asked Representative Kalsa of the Toan Federation. Her feathered crest bristled as she leaned forward. We have ships capable of extreme speed. Why not deploy them? Admiral Tan shook his head. Scout vessels can arrive in 2 days, but they carry no weapons capable of engaging the Morale. They would be destroyed before reaching the colony. From a high platform, Representative Zal of the Folian race cleared his throat. Wrinkled and ancient, his ceremonial hood shadowed most of his face. The distress signal would have passed through Sector 8197, he said slowly. Human space. A few representatives laughed nervously. The humans? A species that had barely developed interstellar travel. How could they matter in a crisis like this? Representative Julia Anderson, one of the very few humans in the Concord, rose quietly. My people would want to know, she said, her voice calm but firm. The chamber fell silent, all eyes on her. Without waiting for more questions, Anderson moved to a private communication booth at the back of the chamber. She placed her hand on the scanner, and the booth sealed around her. The air hummed as the privacy field activated. Priority channel to Earth Central Command, she said clearly. Authorization Anderson 7 Delta 9. Distress signal received from Epsilon Eridani IV. Morale invasion. Colony under attack. Concord fleet 4 days away. A few seconds passed. Then the stern commanding face of General Clark appeared on the screen. Representative Anderson, he said evenly, this is unexpected. I understand, General, Anderson replied. The Concord has effectively written off the colony. We cannot wait 4 days. We request immediate human intervention. General Clark's posture stiffened. I understand. We will respond. Anderson's lips curved ever so slightly. The humans were coming, but the galaxy had no idea how fast and precise their response would be. Meanwhile, back on Epsilon Eridani IV, the situation had grown worse. The Morale had landed troops across multiple sectors, their heavy armor crushing Novan buildings, and their harvesting machines tearing apart the land. Colonel Jarek led the ground forces with ruthless precision. Every Novan who resisted was eliminated. The survivors fled to the underground shelters. "Set up the harvesting equipment in Sector 5, Jarek barked. "Begin processing immediately." Suddenly, his sensors picked up unknown signatures descending from the sky. Small objects, black and angular, moved too precisely to be anything familiar. Jarek signaled his troops to take positions. The objects landed gracefully in a clearing. Jarek expected more invaders like themselves. What emerged, however, were humans. Not in the primitive suits Morale intelligence had predicted, but in sleek, black combat suits with glowing blue lines running across them. "Primitives from Sector 8197. One of his lieutenants laughed. This will be over quickly, but Jarek's soldiers soon realized their mistake. The humans moved with inhuman speed and precision, flanking and disarming Morale troops effortlessly. Their weapons were compact but powerful, striking with surgical accuracy. And they did not kill unnecessarily. Every shot was calculated, every move deliberate. One human lifted a wall fragment weighing tons, freeing trapped Novan civilians. The powered suit around him glowed brightly, amplifying his strength. Across the settlement, similar scenes played out. Humans established medical points, secured key areas, and protected the colony with flawless coordination. Lieutenant Patrick White led a small human squad protecting a makeshift field hospital. 12 soldiers faced 60 Morale attackers and repelled them with minimal damage, using shields and precision shots. Humans moved calmly, efficiently, and without fear, striking terror into Morale hearts. The ground battle mirrored the space conflict. While the Morale fleet had crushed the colony's defenses minutes earlier, now the humans were systematically neutralizing the Morale without destroying them. Precision strikes disabled weapons, engines, and communication systems, ships intact but powerless. In orbit, Captain Alan Brooks commanded the human fleet. Status reports came in, calm and measured. 3 destroyers disabled. No casualties. Shields holding at 92%. Orbital bombardment stopped. On the surface, Lara Carson watched, exhausted but amazed. Relief teams and engineers worked tirelessly, restoring power, treating the wounded, and coordinating evacuations. Within hours, humans had taken control of the situation, not to conquer, but to save. Even when the conquered fleet arrived 4 days later, the galaxy had already seen the truth. A distress signal had been sent, and humans answered. The sky over Epsilon Eridani IV burned red with smoke and fire, but for the first time in hours, a strange calm had settled over the colony. The Morale, shocked by the humans' sudden arrival, had retreated to regroup in small defensive formations. On the ground, their troops were scattered, unsure how to deal with opponents who moved faster than they could track. Captain Alan Brooks observed the battlefield from the bridge of the human flagship Defender. The tactical screens showed a precise map of Morale positions. Destroyers crippled, troop formations weakened, and supply lines cut. Brooks' calm voice carried across the comms. "Deploy drop squads to Sectors 3, 5, and 7. Protect civilians, disable Morale ground forces, and secure critical infrastructure. Non-lethal engagement whenever possible." Lieutenant Patrick White checked his squad, 12 soldiers armed with energy rifles and personal shields, each powered by the new experimental human combat suits. "Status?" Brooks asked over the comm channel. "Squads in position," White replied. "Shields at 98%, weapons calibrated, civilians moving to safe zones. Morale attempting to advance through Sector 5. "We can contain them," Brooks nodded. The humans were moving in perfect coordination, like a single organism. Each action timed, each movement calculated. In the sky above, human drop pods glimmered as they deployed more squads. Soldiers touched down gently, landing behind Morale lines. Within seconds, the Morale forces found themselves surrounded, their advanced armor no match for human tactics. Colonel Jarek, watching through sensors, felt a cold chill of disbelief. "How can a primitive species move like this?" he muttered. His troops were falling into disarray. Every attempt to attack was anticipated and countered. Human shields blocked their energy blasts and counterattacks targeted arms and legs, disabling the soldiers without killing them. One human, moving like lightning, lifted debris blocking a trapped Novan family, the powered suit glowing bright at the joints. Another directed civilians to a safe zone, marking paths through rubble and smoke. Jarek's soldiers could do nothing. They were being outmaneuvered, outthought, and completely overwhelmed. In orbit, the human fleet had established absolute control of space above the colony. The Morale capital ships, crippled but still functional, tried to regroup. "Target the human ships!" Admiral Gurel roared on the bridge of his flagship Merciless Harvest. His claws pounded the console. "Destroy them! Fire everything!" Energy beams lanced across space. Missiles streaked through the void, yet the human vessels twisted and turned in impossible ways, evading every strike. Weapons fire from human ships struck precisely at engines, weapon arrays, and shield generators, disabling Morale vessels without destroying them. It was a surgical display of power that left Gurel speechless. "Impossible," muttered Commander Vrex, scanning the tactical feeds. "How can they anticipate every move? They're human," Gurel growled, frustration creeping into his voice. "Primitive, weak, and yet..." His eyes widened as another human ship disabled a destroyer's main cannon with a single shot. Back on the planet, White's squad encountered a Morale ambush near the colony's medical center. "Incoming left flank!" Sergeant Kimberly Lee shouted. The Morale advanced in waves of 20, firing indiscriminately. White raised his hand. "Engage, non-lethal. Focus on mobility and containment." The humans moved like shadows, slipping between buildings and rubble. Their suits amplified speed and strength, allowing them to dodge energy blasts, sprint across open ground, and lift obstacles that would crush normal soldiers. They disabled Morale soldiers methodically, capturing them where possible. Inside the medical center, human medics treated Novan casualties. Dr. Lisa Harris crouched beside a blue-skinned Novan child, applying advanced healing gel to burns and lacerations. "We're here now," she said softly, reassuring the frightened child. Across the street, other squads set up perimeter defenses, ensuring that no Morale could penetrate the safe zones. In just hours, the humans had turned the tide. The colony, which moments ago had seemed doomed, was now under organized human control. Morale ground forces were trapped, their advance halted. The Novan survivors were evacuated, receiving care, food, and shelter. Admiral Tan, watching the battle unfold on the Concord's long-range sensors, could not believe what he saw. "This is impossible," he whispered. His officers stared at the data stream, stunned. A species considered primitive had single-handedly stopped a Morale assault, without outside assistance. Back on the flagship Defender, Brooks addressed his crew calmly. "Maintain positions. Ensure all civilians are safe. Disable remaining Morale forces and prepare for extraction. Minimal casualties, maximum protection. Let the Morale learn that humanity does not act with vengeance but with justice." In the sky above Epsilon Eridani IV, the human ships glowed as they moved, precise and unstoppable. On the ground, squads coordinated flawlessly, neutralizing Morale threats and aiding survivors. The humans' arrival had not only saved a colony, it had sent a clear message across the galaxy. When a distress call is sent, humanity answers and delivers beyond expectation. The Morale, both in space and on the ground, had been humbled, their arrogance shattered by a species they had considered primitive and weak. And as the humans systematically secured the planet, one truth became clear to everyone witnessing this event: never underestimate humans. By late afternoon, the battle for Epsilon Eridani IV had turned into a human-controlled operation. The Morale, stunned and outmaneuvered, were retreating in disarray. The crippled capital ships drifted slowly in orbit, their weapons offline, engines sputtering. The humans allowed them to withdraw rather than annihilate them, showing a restraint that no one in the galaxy expected. On the surface, human squads moved efficiently through the burning settlements. Commander Laura Bennett led a team clearing rubble to rescue trapped Novan civilians. Each squad carried portable medkits, food supplies, and water. Buildings that could collapse were stabilized by deployable support beams from human engineers. The sight of these humans, small teams performing acts that would have required dozens of Morale soldiers, left local survivors in awe. Laura Carson, the Novan colony administrator, walked through the center of the main settlement, her uniform scorched and torn. She had witnessed destruction on a scale she could never imagine. Yet here stood humans calmly organizing survivors, guiding them to safety. She stopped for a moment, watching as a human medic treated a young Novan child. hands glowing with energy from the advanced healing suit. How did you get here so fast? She asked Commander Bennett. Bennett smiled faintly. We were closer than the Concord records indicate. Earth maintains forward operating bases near many conquered colonies. We've had teams ready to respond quietly just in case. Carson nodded, still trying to process the speed and efficiency of the humans. Your technology, your tactics, it's beyond anything we've seen. You've saved us all. Bennett glanced around, her eyes surveying the organized chaos. That's the plan. Protect lives, disable threats. That's all that matters. Above, the human fleet maintained a tight defensive formation. Captain Brooks coordinated movements, ensuring no Morale ship could regroup and strike again. The flagship Defender remained the central hub, connecting squads on the planet, orbital ships, and remaining Morale vessels. Each human maneuver was precise, calculated, and effective. The Morale Admiral Gurrell, aboard the merciless Harvest, faced his officers. The room was silent except for the low hum of failing systems. We cannot continue, he admitted, his voice tight with frustration and disbelief. Their ships, their soldiers. It is not possible for a primitive species to achieve this. Commander Vrex, still trembling, nodded. They moved faster than our weapons, struck more precisely than our targeting systems. Even our shields could not contain them. Retreat is the only option. The Morale fleet disengaged, moving away from Epsilon Aerodani 4. Admiral Gurrell's pride was shattered. This was not just a defeat, it was a revelation. Humanity, a species recently admitted to the Concord, had displayed tactical mastery and technological capabilities centuries ahead of known galactic standards. Meanwhile, the colony began to recover. Field hospitals were set up in cleared areas, and human engineers restored limited power and water supplies. Civilians who had fled to underground shelters were guided back, given food, water, and medical attention. The humans' coordinated approach prevented chaos and panic. On the orbital bridge of the human fleet, Captain Brooks monitored the Morale retreat. All vessels accounted for? He asked. Affirmative, sir, Lieutenant Jones replied. Morale fleet moving out of system, no immediate threat. Civilian extraction almost complete. Good. Maintain patrols until the conquered fleet arrives, Brooks ordered. Then we can begin the handover. Ensure all survivors are safe. Let the Morale leave without further conflict. In the Galactic Concord Council chamber, word of the human intervention spread like wildfire. Representatives from hundreds of species watched in stunned silence as reports of the battle arrived through long-range sensors and transmitted video. Admiral Tan, who had expected to find total destruction, was instead greeted by scenes of human-led rescue operations. Chancellor Vex's tentacles twitched nervously. This cannot be real, he muttered. The data showed humans moving with uncanny precision, disabling Morale vessels without destroying them, coordinating civilian rescue, and restoring basic infrastructure. Representative Julia Anderson, the human delegate, stood quietly at the back of the chamber. A small smile played across her lips. No one understood yet the full extent of what humanity was capable of, but she did. Humanity had arrived in force not to conquer, not to dominate, but to protect. As night fell over Epsilon Aerodani 4, the fires from the initial Morale attack still burned in some areas, but the hope and order brought by the humans were unmistakable. Children played under the watchful eyes of human soldiers. Medical teams moved calmly between tents, and engineers worked tirelessly to restore communication and power. For the first time, the galaxy began to see humans as more than just newcomers. They were a species capable of extraordinary speed, precision, and ingenuity. They had not only arrived to answer a distress call, they had rewritten what it meant to respond. And somewhere, far beyond the reaches of this colony, the human fleet prepared for its next move, knowing that their actions had sent a message across the stars. When humanity answers, it is not just help that arrives, it is judgment, protection, and a force unlike any other. The Morale retreat marked the end of the immediate battle, but it was only the beginning of a larger revelation that would shock the conquered, the galaxy, and every species that underestimated humans. The distress call had been sent, and humanity had answered in a way no one could have predicted. News of humanity's intervention on Epsilon Aerodani 4 spread across the Galactic Concord faster than any official message. The Concord Council chamber, usually a place of calm debate, became a hub of chaos and whispers. Holographic screens displayed the events. Human ships disabling an entire Morali fleet in minutes, ground squads rescuing tens of thousands of civilians, and engineers restoring vital infrastructure in record time. Chancellor Vex's tentacles twitched in frustration. He had expected the colony to be destroyed before the Concorde fleet could arrive, but instead the humans had not only stopped the Morali, they had saved lives on a massive scale. Murmurs and stunned gasps filled the chamber. Representatives turned to one another, eyes wide with disbelief. "This is impossible," whispered Admiral Tan, still reviewing the long-range sensor feeds. "They've taken a species we considered advanced and made them look helpless. Then humans arrive and undo everything. It's unreal." Representative Zal of the Folian race, an elder respected for centuries of wisdom, leaned forward from his high chair. "We've underestimated them," he said slowly, his voice heavy. "We assumed humans were a minor member of the Conquered, yet their capabilities surpass even the fleets of our oldest colonies. This cannot be ignored." From her seat, Representative Julia Anderson, the human delegate, watched silently. Her calm demeanor contrasted sharply with the chaos around her. When she spoke, all voices in the chamber fell silent. "The humans do not act for conquest," she said clearly. "They act to protect life and restore order. The galaxy should take note, not in fear, but in respect." Her words caused a stir. Murmurs turned into debates. Some representatives argued that humans were a threat, hiding capabilities far beyond what they had disclosed when joining the Concorde. Others believed that this display of restraint and precision proved humanity could be a stabilizing force in chaotic regions. High Chancellor Vex pounded the central podium. "Enough, we need answers. How could a species admitted 3 years ago possess technology and coordination that rival entire fleets of the Conquered? And why have we not known about this?" At that moment, a tall silver-haired man stepped forward. Ambassador Richard Nelson of the United Earth government, appearing calm and confident, projected a holographic display detailing humanity's development. "Honorable Council members," he began, "Earth's history is unique. While many species developed spaceflight centuries ago, humanity unified after long periods of internal conflict. This drove rapid technological advancement in targeted fields, defensive systems, energy weapons, and medical applications for combat." The chamber fell silent as the display showed scenes from human history. Wars that spanned continents, innovations born from survival, and the eventual unification of the planet under a single government. Ships, soldiers, and medical teams moved in ways that showcased precision, coordination, and efficiency far beyond the expectations of even the most experienced Conquered analysts. Nelson continued, "When humans joined the Conquered 3 years ago, we deliberately disclosed civilian technologies and cultural achievements, while keeping certain military capabilities private. This was not deception intended to threaten, but a measure to avoid fear-driven preemptive strikes. Humanity wanted to be known as a responsible member first, and only then demonstrate its true strength when necessary." Questions erupted from every corner. "You hid this much power," a tone representative shouted. "This is a violation of every Concorde protocol." Representative Anderson raised a hand. "No protocols were broken. Earth's disclosure focused on peaceful development. The Concorde requires member states to provide defense capabilities in emergencies, which we have demonstrated through our actions at Epsilon Eridani. That action alone proves our commitment to life and order." Admiral Tan, still visibly shaken, whispered to his aide, "I've served for decades. I've seen countless invasions, battles, and threats, but never a species capable of both extreme power and extreme restraint." Meanwhile, in quieter corners of the chamber, smaller delegations exchanged worried glances. The Morali Empire, still reeling from their unexpected defeat, was a topic of discussion, but so were the humans. Whispered concerns about future conflicts began to circulate. If humans could so easily disable a Morali fleet, what would stop them from challenging other powerful species in the future? High Chancellor Vex attempted to regain control. "We must establish a council investigation. Humanity's capabilities and protocols will be reviewed. All members must understand the scope of what we face." Nelson nodded respectfully. "We welcome your review. But I ask the Council to remember, humans act not for conquest but for protection. Let this victory at Epsilon Eridani be a lesson in the power of restraint as much as capability." Outside the council, news feeds across the Concord broadcast images of human ships orbiting the planet, medics assisting alien civilians, and engineers working alongside Novans. Across thousands of light years, species that had doubted humanity began to reconsider. Across forums, military analysts, scholars, and politicians debated one question: who are these humans, and what will they do next? Back on Epsilon Eridania 4, Lara Carson watched the last Morale forces leave the system. She stood amidst her people, safe for the first time in hours, tears streaking her soot-covered face. Commander Bennett approached her once again. "The worst is over. We'll stay until every survivor is safe and the colony is stable." Lara nodded, voice breaking. "You came when no one else could. You saved us all. I don't even know what to say." Bennett smiled simply. "No thanks needed. Humanity responds to distress. That's all." And far above, the human fleet maintained vigilance, silently sending a message across the galaxy. When humans respond, they bring justice, protection, and a power unlike anything known before. The Morale Empire had retreated, but their defeat at Epsilon Eridani 4 spread through the galaxy like wildfire. On Morale homeworlds, news feeds and comm networks crackled with disbelief. Citizens stared at the images of their once mighty fleet crippled by a handful of human ships. Commanders argued and blamed one another, trying to explain how a species so primitive could outperform centuries of Morale military doctrine. Admiral Gurrell sat in the High Council chamber of the Morale flagship, still in orbit above the homeworld. His scaled body trembled with fury. His claws gripped the console so tightly that small cracks formed in the alloy surface. "Explain to me," he growled at his officers, "how 30 humans destroyed half my fleet in 15 minutes? Commander Vreck shuffled uncomfortably, his voice trembling. "Sir, their ships move in ways that defy known physics. Their weapons, they strike with precision and restraint. They do not destroy vessels unnecessarily, yet they disable them completely." Gurrell's eyes narrowed. "Restraint? What is restraint to a species that crushes colonies without hesitation? They did not kill our crews, yet they left their systems paralyzed. What trick is this?" "Sir," Vrex whispered, "it is not a trick. Their tactics, they are advanced, beyond anything recorded in our archives." Gurrell slammed his claws against the table, sending the holomap shaking. "We were humiliated before the entire Concord. Reports will reach every corner of known space. Our empire's reputation is ruined." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, rumors about the humans grew faster than official reports. Traders in the Proxima system whispered in marketplaces about a species that could appear out of nowhere, neutralize entire fleets, and heal alien civilians as if it were routine. Scholars debated the possibilities in forums and holo-lectures. Some dismissed the stories as exaggeration. Others, who had seen the footage and sensor logs, whispered fearfully, "Humans are not like us." Back in the Concord Council, Representative Anderson and Ambassador Nelson prepared their next reports. Humans had already helped stabilize Epsilon Eridania 4, but the ripple effect was only beginning. Member states of the Concord began sending exploratory ships to human systems, curious to understand the truth. Would Earth reveal all of its capabilities? Would the humans respond to future crises with the same precision and restraint? Admiral Tan, still reeling from what he had witnessed, conferred with other high-ranking officers. "We underestimated them. The humans, they are a new standard. If the Concord is to remain stable, we must reconsider alliances, fleet placements, and even our own defenses. One miscalculation and we risk drawing their attention." On the human side, Captain Alan Brooks and his crew quietly returned to their forward bases. Reports from the Concord confirmed that the Morale forces had fully retreated, and yet no humans celebrated. Every movement was disciplined, precise, as if the victory had been expected all along. Brooks addressed his officers calmly. "Our job isn't done. Others will test us. We must remain ready. Humanity protects those in need, no matter the threat." Word of humanity's actions reached neutral sectors of the galaxy, civilizations that had observed conquered conflicts from afar. Rumors spread of humans as not only skilled warriors but also as protectors and healers. Scholars speculated about Earth's hidden technologies, while military analysts debated the feasibility of duplicating such efficiency. Back on Epsilon Eridani 4, Director Lara Carson continued overseeing relief efforts. Humans worked alongside Novans, repairing infrastructure, distributing food, and providing medical care. Children laughed as clean water returned to their settlements and families who had feared the worst were reunited. Lara felt a strange mix of awe and relief. She had sent a distress call hoping for help. She never imagined it would arrive in the form of something she couldn't even comprehend. In the Morali Empire, investigations began into failures, but no explanation satisfied commanders. Some whispered about humans as a species to fear, not for aggression but for the power of their discipline, intelligence, and speed. Others doubted the rumors and insisted that the Morali could recover. Gurel, however, remained silent in his quarters, staring at star charts and imagining future encounters. One thought haunted him. If humans can do this now, what will they be capable of in 50, 100 years? Meanwhile, the Conquered debated the future. Humans had displayed abilities beyond any known race. Should the Conquered formally request their full disclosure? Or would it be wiser to allow humans to reveal themselves gradually, judging actions rather than potential? In hushed tones, even veteran representatives admitted that humanity might change the balance of power in the galaxy permanently. And across systems far beyond the Epsilon Eridani sector, messages transmitted along covert channels, private intelligence networks, and trader forums all carried the same ominous note. Humans respond to distress, and when they do, no enemy can stand. The galaxy had witnessed a shockwave. The Morali had been humbled, the Concord forced to rethink its assumptions, and countless species began to speculate. What truly lies behind humanity's calm and disciplined exterior? In the shadows of space, humanity's forward bases quietly expanded, and Captain Brooks prepared his fleet for the next unseen crisis. The galaxy had only glimpsed the beginning of Earth's potential. Weeks after the Battle of Epsilon Eridani IV, the Galactic Concord convened an emergency session in the High Council chamber. The room, normally reserved for calm deliberation, buzzed with tension. Every seat was filled, representatives from hundreds of species watching the events unfold. Humans had arrived, and now they were at the center of the galaxy's attention. High Chancellor Vex stood at the central dais, his tentacles twitching with barely controlled agitation. "The events at Epsilon Eridani IV cannot be ignored," he announced. "Humans, you have entered our domain with technology, tactics, and speed that surpass all expectations. You have protected a colony from annihilation, yet you have withheld knowledge of your full capabilities. Explain yourselves." From the entrance of the chamber, Ambassador Richard Nelson and Representative Julia Anderson stepped forward. Nelson's uniform was simple, a sharp contrast to the ornate robes of other delegates. His gray hair and calm demeanor commanded attention. The chamber fell silent as he began. "High Chancellor, representatives of the Conquered," Nelson said steadily, "humanity has not sought to deceive for power or conquest. Our species followed a different path. For centuries, we faced internal conflict and warfare. Our technology advanced in ways unusual for your records, particularly in defense, combat medicine, and tactical coordination. When we joined the Conquered 3 years ago, we chose to present what you would see: our scientific and cultural achievements. Not our military capacity, not because we wish to hide power, but because we wish to be known first as a people, not a threat." A murmur spread across the chamber. The Folian representative, Zal, leaned forward. "So your admission was incomplete. Humanity, you risked the trust of the entire Conquered?" Nelson nodded. "Yes, we admit that fully. Yet our actions at Epsilon Eridani IV were guided by duty, not dominance. We responded to a distress call, protecting innocent lives." Chancellor Vex's tentacles twitched. "And yet, humans, your response has shown military capability far beyond our current understanding. Our fastest fleets, even when combined, could not have acted as efficiently." "Explain this." Representative Anderson stepped forward. "Chancellor, the humans you see today are disciplined, trained, and coordinated. Our ships are not merely vessels. They are extensions of our knowledge, our tactics, and our values. We do not attack unless necessary, and when we do, it is with precision, enough to neutralize threats, never to destroy needlessly. This approach may be unfamiliar to the Conquered, but it is consistent with human strategy." An elder representative of the Toan Federation stood, feathers bristling. "So you possess weapons and ships beyond Conquered comprehension, yet you use them to protect? Is this some form of trickery? A test of our confidence?" Nelson shook his head. No trickery. No hidden motive. Humanity operates under principles shaped by history: protect, preserve, and act decisively when others cannot. We choose not to show everything we have unless circumstances demand it, a group of representatives whispered among themselves. The stories of the Morali fleet's defeat had already spread through Concord channels. Every species was questioning how a newcomer could hold such power. Some feared humans. Others felt relief. High Chancellor Vex took a deep breath. Humanity, your actions have prevented catastrophe. Yet the Council must understand the full implications. How far does your capability extend? What happens if other systems are threatened? If your discretion fails? Nelson responded carefully. Our discretion is guided by need. We intervene when others cannot protect the innocent. That is the principle. Beyond that, humanity seeks no conquest, no expansion at the expense of others. We ask for trust and cooperation, not fear. Representative Julia Anderson added quietly. High Chancellor, humans respond to distress. That is their priority. Their arrival at Epsilon Aerodani 4 was not because of duty to Concord, but because lives were at stake. They do not pursue glory, only action where it is needed. Across the chamber, murmurs grew louder. Some delegates nodded, reassured. Others, especially species with ambitious fleets, looked skeptical. One elder representative of the Morali Empire, present as an observer, clenched his fists, his scaled face tight with unease. Chancellor Vex raised his hands. Silence. Humanity, your arrival has forced a new understanding. You are not merely another member species. You are something else entirely. The Council must debate how to integrate this reality into our policies. Your actions will be studied, documented, and observed. But know this. The Concord recognizes your right to act where others cannot. Let it be understood across every system. Nelson bowed slightly. We accept your judgment, High Chancellor. Humanity seeks cooperation, not conflict, but we will not stand idle when innocents are threatened. The chamber fell silent for a long moment. Outside the massive transparent walls, stars shone, and beyond them, the distant Epsilon Aerodani system glimmered faintly. Within that light lay a new balance in the galaxy, one that the Concord and its member species were only beginning to comprehend. In the corner, Representative Anderson allowed herself a small, satisfied smile. Humanity had revealed enough to prove their capability without intimidation. Yet the galaxy would now wonder, what else could they do if the need arose? Meanwhile, Nelson returned to his waiting team. This is only the beginning, he said quietly. They have seen a glimpse of what humans can do. The galaxy will now respond, some with curiosity, some with fear, and some with hostility. We must be ready. Outside the council chamber, information networks across multiple systems lit up. Every major fleet, every research station, every trader guild was now aware. Humans had intervened, and nothing would be the same again. The Concord faced a new reality. One that had arrived quietly, but with a force that could not be ignored. Humanity had answered the distress call, and in doing so, had shattered the assumptions of the entire galaxy. Weeks had passed since the humans had arrived at Epsilon Aerodani 4. The Morali fleet had withdrawn under strict conditions, and the colony was recovering. Yet the ripples of humanity's actions spread faster than any signal through the galaxy. Every corner of the galactic Concord was now aware. Humans were not what they seemed. On Earth, Captain Alan Brooks and his officers reviewed mission data in the United Earth Naval Forces headquarters. Screens displayed maps of the Concord, highlighting communications, fleet movements, and responses. Lieutenant Sharon Jones spoke first. Sir, the Concord has begun monitoring us closely. There are questions about our sudden intervention, and some fleets are moving near human space. Brooks nodded. Expected. They will want answers. They will want to know what else we can do. We must maintain readiness and show restraint. Fear will spread faster than conflict if we do anything reckless. Meanwhile, Ambassador Richard Nelson prepared for his next presentation at the Galactic Concord. This time it wasn't just about Epsilon Aerodani 4. The Council demanded a full account of human capabilities. Nelson walked with measured steps through the Concord's massive corridors. Representatives whispered as he passed, some in admiration, others in suspicion. High Chancellor Vex greeted him, a tentacle extended in cautious formality. Ambassador Nelson, humanity has demonstrated power, but the galaxy seeks understanding. Will you reveal more? Nelson shook his head calmly. Only what is necessary, Chancellor. Humans act with judgment, not as a display of superiority. What we have shown is enough to maintain peace. Further disclosure could provoke fear, and fear leads to war. The session began. Data pads floated in front of council members, holographic displays showing human ships, their precise maneuvers, and rescue operations on Epsilon Aerodania 4. The council watched in stunned silence as the full story of human efficiency, tactical coordination, and restraint played out. A representative from the Folian species, voice trembling, finally spoke. I do not understand. Your species is young. Your colonies are few. And yet you moved with the speed, accuracy, and intelligence that surpasses even our oldest fleets. How is this possible? Nelson's reply was simple. Because humans have learned to survive in impossible circumstances. Our history is forged in conflict, cooperation, and innovation. When we face threats, we adapt faster than expected. That is our nature. Across the chamber, whispers spread like wildfire. Every species understood that the conquered had underestimated humanity. A new question formed in every mind. If humans could act with such power in one situation, what would happen if they chose differently? Outside, Captain Brooks prepared his fleet for departure. His human officers checked weapons, shields, and communications. They had achieved their mission without unnecessary destruction, and yet the galaxy would never see humans the same way again. Status report? Brooks asked. Lieutenant Jones smiled slightly. All ships are ready, sir. No damage sustained beyond minor shield wear. Morale forces accounted for, they are retreating. Brooks nodded. Good, let them carry the message back. Let the galaxy know humanity protects, but humanity is not weak. And let that be enough, for now. On Epsilon Aerodania 4, Director Lara Carson watched the humans coordinate the rebuilding of the colony. Entire blocks of infrastructure were restored, water systems repaired, and medical care distributed with speed and efficiency that astonished even the seasoned Novanans. Children ran through the streets again, and survivors spoke in awe of the humans who had saved them. Carson approached Commander Laura Bennett, leading one of the final supply convoys. How did you reach us so fast? The Conquered said humans were far away. Bennett smiled. We keep forward operating bases in key sectors quietly. We act quickly when needed. It's what humanity does. We don't wait for permission when lives are at stake. As night fell, the twin suns of Epsilon Aerodania 4 dipped below the horizon. The fires of battle had been extinguished, leaving only the quiet hum of recovery. Yet in the stars above, humans moved unseen, monitoring the galaxy. In the Conquered Council chamber, the debate continued. Some members called for stricter oversight of humanity. Others urged cooperation and study. All agreed on one thing. Humans had arrived, and nothing would ever be the same again. Representative Julia Anderson watched quietly, her calm expression betraying nothing. She knew the truth. Humans would continue to act according to their principles, and the galaxy would witness their impact in ways no one yet understood. Far away, Captain Brooks looked out the viewport of the UEN Defender. The stars stretched endlessly before him. Humanity had answered a distress call, saved a colony, and shattered assumptions. And yet he knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy would continue to test humanity, but the humans would be ready, because humans did not act out of fear, ambition, or greed. Humans acted to protect, and in doing so they had shaken the galaxy to its core.